So hey guys, hopefully I didn't creep you out too much. But as you can tell by my Michael Myers mask, strange enough, something that I actually did purchase myself. I am going to be reviewing the new Halloween film for you today. So like I said, this is something I do actually, strangely enough, own. I think this is more sold on like the Rob Zombie one, but whatever. It's still a Michael Myers mask. And still the Halloween theme song you just heard a second ago. Yep, there you go. So anyway, guys, back to my review. This is a review of the new 2018 Halloween film. I've been super pumped for this film all year round. I'm a huge Halloween fan. For those who've even seen some of my short films that I've made over the years, I even have a character that keeps showing up in those that is kind of in the spirit of Michael Myers. So I've always been kind of inspired um, through filmmaking, through Halloween. It's always kind of inspired me in one way or another, whether it's taking on villains in stories, whether it's taking on a scare in a story, a perspective of a character in a story. There's just so many different things I could take away from Halloween that have kind of made me the film person that I am to this day and so forth. So I, like I said, really excited to see this new 2018 Halloween film. What's unique about this film, I think why a lot of people are kind of talking about it, why it's kind of a big deal, and probably why it's even a big deal, why as to the screening I went to was so huge, and it was on a Saturday night, which already was kind of 2 or 3 days in roughly to this big, Halloween opening weekend, is because I think a lot of people like myself are interested as to how they're going to erase the timeline, and it's just the first Halloween film from John Carpenter, and now this one in the timeline. There's this big 40-year stretch. There's that very first film, and now this new one, and there's no Halloween films in between. Just these two films right side by side. Big 40-year gap of nothing happening, and now something is happening with Michael Myers again. But in this film, you guys, what the overall story is right away at the beginning of the film. It's about 40 years since the events of the very first Halloween film. Michael Myers is still in an insane asylum in Haddonfield. He hasn't talked to anybody. He really hasn't done anything big over the years. But people still come in, psychiatrists come in, people who do podcasts, people who make documentaries. Everybody is still kind of wanting to get their chance to see Michael Myers in person without the mask, without the custodian shirt, and so forth. People are still intrigued by Michael Myers. So there's two podcast people that kind of go into this insane asylum, want to get a good look at Michael Myers, try to get him to speak. One of them actually got a hold of the mask that he had in that first Halloween film. So from the events of that movie. And Michael Myers still won't talk. But there is news about him being transferred to another insane asylum. It's just he's just kind of standing around. They really kind of need the space in the insane asylum. They wanted to move him to a smaller one. But while that is going on, the bus crashes that all these other inmates also escaped from on this bus. And this also leaves Michael Myers a chance to go back to Haddonfield to wreak havoc again. And it's also Halloween night just to make matters worse. So Laurie Strode, we kind of figure out what she's been doing over the years. Like I said, there is no Halloween 2, Halloween H2O. That all that's been erased, all in this alternate universe for the movie. So it was just that first film, and we get to see kind of where she's at 40 years later. She's still traumatized. She learned how to use weapons. She learned how to use knives. She learned combat. She learned all this, like, martial arts and stuff like that. She learned all this stuff over the course of the years, and she's ready for Michael anytime he were to show up and to escape the sane asylum, like the events of the film kind of depict. So she's basically prepared her whole life after the events of the first film, just in case there is that rare chance that he would come back and so forth. Um, so Michael Myers, he has his mask back again through some undisclosed events. He also has his classic signature outfit again through some undisclosed events. But he's now back in Haddonfield. They have to stop him before he kills too many people again. He just goes on this big killing spree. And so Laurie Strode, her daughter, and her granddaughter do what they can to stop Michael Myers for good over the course of the new 2018 Halloween night. So, guys, I really like this film a lot. I'm a huge Halloween fan, as I brought up earlier. For years, I thought Halloween H2O was going to be my definitive favorite Halloween sequel ever made. Now I have a new favorite Halloween sequel, and it happens to be this one. I think this is my favorite Halloween sequel to date. Don't worry about them erasing the timeline after the first movie. This film makes up for it. They do so many great things in this movie. They definitely make up for the fact that they definitely go into this film knowing that, hey, if we are racing the timeline, this might upset some people, but don't worry. After seeing this film myself and being a Halloween fan, I think what they did here was kind of the right choice. I kind of actually liked the fact that they got rid of the fact that they were brother and sister, because even John Carpenter himself said back when he co-wrote Halloween 2, he kind of just did that just to kind of give some final levity to that last Halloween film and kind of give it some full content for it to work as a story. He kind of ran out of material to work with, so he kind of did it as like a last resort in that script. And unfortunately, the sequels kind of worked off of that. But thankfully, like I said, it's mostly just Laurie Strode and Michael Myers being separate people. We really kind of don't know what that fascination is between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode is now. That's still kind of being kept a mystery. But I really liked it. I kind of liked how they completely wiped out the timeline. So, no stupid Halloween 6, no stupid Halloween 5, no Rob Zombie Halloween or anything like that. But like I said, I think it benefited the movie. I think it helped the movie. So let's get over some positives and negatives of why I really like this new Halloween film. First and foremost, for my positives, great homages are happening in this film for the very first Halloween film. Whether that is, a character falling off of a ledge, reminding us of when Michael fell off a ledge in the very first Halloween movie, whether it's that, pumpkin opening credits, they bring that back again, whether it's that orange neon lit text in the opening credits or end credits. Just all that stuff is done again. All that stuff is done in a tasteful way. If it's stuff that's being reused from the first Halloween or from another Halloween film, they bring it back in a tasteful way. They do a new take on it. They do an interesting take on it if they bring back something again. I loved all the homages to the first Halloween film. And speaking of homages, if you look closely, the silver shamrock masks in Halloween 3 kind of work their way into this movie somehow. Can't tell you where or why, but if you look closely, there is a very strong visual reference to those 3 silver shamrock masks from Halloween 3 if you look for it in just the right place in the movie. There's also some good humor in this film. Strangely enough, David Gordon Green directed this film. He's had experience with comedies, and his longtime friend and partner, Danny McBride, I should say, from comedies like, Your Highness and Pineapple Express. Danny McBride's been in tons of stuff by now. He was one of the co-writers for this film, and he brings a lot of humor to the film with his comedy background. I thought the humor worked in this film. I don't think it interfered with the horror elements at all. I really do feel like on the scenes that are meant to be funny, they really are funny, and they still kind of keep that horror touch that the film needs. I thought the humor worked great in the film whenever they choose to use it. There's a young boy that's being babysat throughout the course of the movie. He gets some really funny lines to work with, so really look for that kid in this movie. Tons of good humor is placed in this movie. There's some scary Michael Myers scenes and gruesome kills in this film. So if you're in this film for the Michael Myers scenes, if you're in it for the kills, if you want to see some really cool stuff that Michael Myers does, or some spooky stuff, or some scary stuff, or some evil stuff that we've come to see and know Michael Myers do, I think this film delivers on that. There's tons of cool Michael Myers moments in this movie. There's also some true filmmaking flair in this film. David Gordon Green really brings a true director's touch to this movie, whether it is just following Michael Myers around or really kind of stealthing around with the character. Laurie Strode's making sure that Michael Myers isn't in a house, or the police are looking for him, or they're looking for clues and stuff like that. There really is some filmmaking flair in this film that really adds another layer of greatness to the movie. Tons of filmmaking flair added to the film through David Gordon Green, and it's very effective in this movie. The use of Laurie Strode's daughter, played by Judy Greer, a character that hasn't been previously used in a Halloween film, and also for a first time, Laurie Strode has a granddaughter too. I saw all 3 characters were used very effectively. With Laurie Strode, we kind of get to see her trauma, kind of her suffering that she had over the course of the first film and over the course of 40 years leading into this one. We really get to see a traumatized character. Halloween H2O was more so a Laurie Strode that wouldn't move on with her life, or more, that one was more so about her changing her identity and stuff. This one's more so, she's always going to be Laurie Strode. She doesn't have to worry about changing her identity, but she does have to use a weapon. She does have to learn how to use a knife. She has to learn how to prepare for the worst and stuff like that. So definitely more of a Sarah Connor kind of an approach with Laurie Strode. Not directly. Some people are complaining that, oh, it basically is Sarah Connor in a Halloween film now. I don't really think that. I really do think this is a very traumatized Laurie Strode that really planned ahead this time around. So I really like that feeling and vibe and direction they took with the Laurie Strode character with Jamie Lee Curtis. With Judy Greer's character as the daughter, they really go with the direction of, Laurie Strode's kind of been training her all this years, making sure she learn how to use a weapon and learn where to hide if Michael Myers were to show up and stuff like that. And even kind of with the granddaughter kind of sympathized with Laurie Strode a lot. And when Michael Myers does come to town, she's trying to use the things that her mom and Laurie Strode have taught her over the years. This film is also very much in the spirit of the very first Halloween film, which I really like a lot, whether it is the text or the music, which I'm also going to get to in a second. Just tons of things that they did from the first film that definitely it definitely feels like it's in that first film. It's definitely more so the shape over Michael Myers and stuff like that. So just definitely in the spirit of the first Halloween, which I really liked a lot. John Carpenter's score is in this movie. He actually does create the score this time. That's something that he was most involved with in the movie. I think his son and someone else from his band in real life helped out with the score. Very effective, very fun. Great to hear John Carpenter's score for another Halloween film again. For my negatives, I thought one thing they could have done differently, and maybe it's just me personally as a Halloween fan, maybe rather than a 40-year anniversary kind of Halloween film, I think doing a 30-year one would have been more appropriate, doing this film in 2008. That way they could have worked with Michael Myers in his 50s rather than his 60s. Just the fact that he was this old man breaking out of an insane asylum and doing these things that he did when he was younger. I really didn't buy into the whole old Michael Myers thing. I thought, like my friend pointed out when we were watching the movie, I really can't picture a guy in his 60s doing all this, especially somebody this strong and stuff like that. So maybe 2008 would have been more appropriate to make this movie over 2018. Maybe my just personal preference on that one. Also, the whole thing going back to Laurie Strode's arsenal house full of weapons. The first half of the film, I think, uses it better than the last half. The last half, she just kind of partially uses the house and stuff like that. So, I don't know. For me personally, I thought there wasn't enough payoff to the whole arsenal house that Laurie Strode had. And I really can't get into too much detail on this one, but I will say, and this has kind of been brought up online a lot, there really is kind of a dumb twist scene in this movie that kind of allows, without spoiling anything, it kind of allows Michael Myers to be in the film longer, I guess. I guess that's the best way I can say it without really spoiling anything. Really dumb twist. I know a lot of people really have been mad about it. I personally didn't care for it. I really think it could have been completely removed from the movie and it would have been a lot better as a result. So, dumb twist scene in the movie. Be careful of it. Thankfully, that doesn't stick around for too long, but they do still use it. I have to ding the film a couple points as a result. There's also a lot of dumb character choices. One big one being, if Michael Myers is loose in the Haddonfield again, kind of want to lock your houses, kind of want to make sure no doors are being unlocked. There's a lot of characters that choose to do that. I'm like, oh, hey, the police are saying this. Oh, hey, there's all this trouble. I'm just going to leave all my doors in my house unlocked, whatever. And, well, it's kind of stupid as a result on their part. I'm going to give Halloween 2018 a 9 out of 10. I highly recommend this film. Very happy here as a Halloween fan. Like I said, a couple of choices, like rather than 2018, maybe 2008 would have been a better time to make this movie. The arsenal house that Laurie Strode had, I thought could have used more payoff. There's a dumb twist scene that they really didn't need to use in this movie. I think the film would have been perfectly fine without that dumb twist scene. And lots of, like I said, tons of dumb character choices, like keeping your houses unlocked on Halloween. But overall, 9 out of 10. Really like this film. Really happy here as a Halloween fan. If you love Halloween, I highly recommend this new 2018 Halloween film.